First of all, I appreciate you guys all coming out to cover Virginia Tech football. We don't take it for granted and appreciate that. Obviously, unique situation, right? I've been here for essentially two weeks and had 2 recruiting weekends, official visits. It was a scramble. It really was a scramble. We were fortunate to be able to hold on to most of the Virginia Tech commitments, which was cool, being able to hold on to that group that was excited about the history, traditions, academic reputation of this university. Combine that kind of with my background and my resume and my experience, and we're able to hold on to most of those guys. And then obviously use a couple weekends to get some guys that we were familiar with. I want to make sure that this is interpreted right. Like, by no means were we out looking to take commits from any specific school. It really just came down to the kids that we had relationships with, that we've known for multiple years. That's really what that was about. I'm very proud and appreciative of the staff that came with me, as well as the Virginia Tech staff that jumped in and helped. But I do want to mention these people by name: Andy Frank, Kevin Threlkill, Tristan Iannone, Chris Mann, Aeneas Hawkins, Carson Keeler, Caleb Tyler, Brett Arnold, Rashad Elby. When I took the job and everything went down, I called these people, asked them to come to my house, and said, hey, I need you to come with me tomorrow to Virginia Tech. I don't know what you're going to get paid, and I don't know what your job title is, but I want you to come and we'll figure it out. And they all came and running behind the scenes to put this entire class together. And I'm proud of what we were able to do in a short period of time, something that typically takes 2 years to fill a class, and we were able to do it in 2 weeks. So I think it's an exciting thing to look forward and think about what we're going to be able to do in the future with all the resources here, the brand of Virginia Tech, the academic reputation of the university, and then also a little bit of elbow grease. So excited about the class. We were able to cover both sides of the ball, as well as special teams. Pretty much every position covered as well. We're always going to emphasize up front the O-line and the D-line. Those are positions that it takes time to develop. And if you fall behind in those areas, it's hard to get caught up. I learned that lesson the hard way when I got the Penn State job. I think there was 4 or 5 scholarship offensive linemen in the entire program. So I learned that lesson the hard way, and that's something we'll always make sure we do a great job of recruiting. And then I think you also saw that we took a tremendous amount of pride in the state of Virginia. That will always be the case. It's got to start at home with the high school players, with the high school coaches. Obviously, we got to do a great job in the region, and we got to be able to go national as well. But if you don't take care of your own backyard, it's hard to do any of those other things. So it starts here at home. Everybody talks about the 757 when you talk about recruiting the state of Virginia, but it's really the entire state. And we got tremendous respect for the entire state of Virginia, and we will treat it as a priority. So happy to answer questions. And again, just overall, very, very pleased with all the hard work that we put in this to put Virginia Tech in the best chance to be successful moving forward. So open up the questions.
I'll start with Damien.
James, you brought up relationships, and not just with players from your former stomping grounds, but players who had visited, who had committed elsewhere. How much did that play a factor in being able to get them here on campus and be able to sell them Virginia Tech and sell them the vision of playing for you?
Yeah, so I think for almost all of them, we were recruiting at some point over the last 2 years, whether guys had come to camp, whether guys had been up for junior days, or whether guys had just kind of followed what we were doing, at other schools. So I think that helped. I also think the core group of guys that were committed to Virginia Tech were committed to Virginia Tech for the right reasons and felt like this was the right place for them and their family. And they were being patient to try to figure out who the head coach was going to be. And then when we combined all those factors, I think it worked out really well. But you know, this is still a relationship business, and whether that is staff or whether that is recruiting, that plays a big part in this. And when I talk about relationships, I talk about significant relationships with the players, with their high school coaches, and their parents. You know, when you're talking about a different school that's probably 5 hours away in a very different conference, and those people felt strongly enough about Virginia Tech, our staff, me, the potential of this place, and then the resources, because we could, you know, relationships are important. But I've had relationships with kids that I feel like our relationship was better than any other place in the country. But if the NIL package is too wide, this isn't the old days of 85 scholarships where it just comes down to relationships and what you've been able to produce on the field. So you got to have the resources. That's the reality of today's college football. So, you know, a lot of things have gone into it. But again, I'm very pleased with the class overall, especially when you consider the circumstances. I don't know if this has really happened before. You know, we have official visits, and you know, we have the tight end from Minnesota, Pierce, and he says, "What does the tight end room look like, Coach?" I said, "I have no idea. I've been here 3 days. I can't tell you. Who's the tight ends coach going to be? You have to trust me. Who's the offensive coordinator going to be? You have to trust me." We had 17 recruits here on the second weekend. I'm the only coach, and you know, I really didn't have answers for them. But I think it's a very unique situation. I don't know if it's ever happened before. And you think about, I think the class when we got the job, I think the class was 124, depending on which service you look at. And it's not over yet, but I think we're somewhere inside the top 25 right now. So, you know, I'm proud and I'm excited. It's a start. We still got a ton of work to do.
Let's go to David Teo and then Andy Bennett.
You have any water?
You mentioned the unique circumstances surrounding all of this, a lot of it fueled by the bizarre coaching hires and departures of the last few months. How beneficial were those 2 recruiting weekends here that no other new hire really had? And how many of the young men that you signed today were on campus these past 2 weekends? Do you know?
Yes, sir. So I don't know if I have the exact number of Tristan or Kevin. You can look that up. But I think almost all of them, either the first weekend or the second weekend. So it was really beneficial, and it was needed, right? But I would also say there's also differences, right? Some of these coaches took jobs, and there was 19 kids committed there, and none of them decommitted. I saw one coach show up, and the number 1 recruit in the country was waiting for him when he got off the plane. You know, that was not the situation here. We had a core group of guys that were committed, but we had to build it. You know, we had to build it, but we've done this before. You know, we built a foundation and a program at Vanderbilt, at a place that hadn't really had it in the previous 30 years before we got there. And one of the things I'm very, very proud about, you know, my time at Penn State is people are talking about that program like one of the best programs in college football and a consistent title contender. And we weren't part of those conversations when I got there. So this is a really good foundation to build on. We have some lessons and a model that we learned over those last 2 experiences that we'll use here. But I think that's also where the Virginia Tech staff has been critical too, because all these places are unique and they're sophisticated, and we don't have the institutional knowledge or the community knowledge yet. So we have to kind of blend and merge these 2 things together to put us in the best position moving forward. Kevin, do you guys have those numbers ballpark?
Yeah, we had 22 official visits.
22 official visits, but how many of the guys committed were here on official visit? There's only one that I can think of that was not on an official visit with us.
Yeah, it was only one.
Yeah, one. Yeah, it was Zay. Zay was the one guy. He went and visited West Virginia, had us nervous, but we were able to get it done.
We got Andy Bitter and Chris Cole.
James, the quarterback you signed, Troy Hune, long way to go across the country here. What did you like about his style? Does his style of play say anything about the type of offense you'd like to run here?
No, he's just a really good player that we had identified early on. Came to camp and threw for us. He's 6'4" ballpark. He's 220 pounds ballpark. He ran 4.75 for us. I think he'll end up being a 4.6 guy. His senior year, you saw him take a big stride in terms of making plays with his legs, and that's going to be important. I don't care whether it's the NFL, college, or high school. In today's day and age, you got to be able to make plays at the quarterback position with your mind, with your arm, and with your legs, and he has the ability to do that. I was able to go watch him play live this year. He had a great senior year. I think he completed like 74% of his passes this year. His touchdown to interception ratio is really good. His high school, I think, went as far as they've gone in a long time. And he wasn't playing on a team that was loaded with other Division I players, right? We've had a chance to get to know him as a person, as a student, the family. Dad played college football. Mom was a college basketball coach. Very competitive family, and we think he's got a chance to be good. So we're excited about his future, but we're going to recruit quarterbacks that we think we can win with, and then you have to have enough flexibility within your system to take advantage of the personnel you have. I think that's one of the kind of big things that is a little bit of a interview answer that I think most coaches miss on is every coach says we're going to run a system to take advantage of our personnel, but they don't really do that. They're an 11 personnel team, and he's going to want to stay in 11 personnel. Their second tight end may be better than the third receiver. They don't want to be in 12 personnel, so they stay in 11. If you have two tailbacks, getting those guys on the field, whatever it may be, you got to have enough flexibility within your system to take advantage of the personnel you have this year. Recruiting, just like the draft, is not an exact science. You think you have a pretty good idea what you're going to get, but you never truly know until they show up on campus. And then we got to play to their strengths. So those things are going to be really important for us moving forward. But mobility at the quarterback position will be a priority. But we're going to emphasize throwers. The throwing component is going to be critical because a wide receiver can change the game faster than anybody. We've had some pretty good running backs, but those guys got to break two tackles, make two guys miss to go 80. A wide out typically has to make one guy miss and go 80. So we'd like to be able to put an emphasis on that and be able to open our offense up a little bit more.
Chris Cole.
Coach, with the short amount of time between your arrival and signing day, what were your expectations for signing day, and did you exceed them?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big guy on external expectations or goals, and even for myself, right? Because I think sometimes with goal setting and things like that, you have to be very careful because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the current class looked like. I didn't know what would happen, with kids that we had previous relationships with. Would they be excited about Virginia Tech? Would this be the right fit for them? You just don't know. You just don't know how it's all going to play out. So for us, we just got on campus, started running 1,000 different directions, reaching out to families and kids about coming and checking this place out and visiting. At the same time, going out to practice and evaluating the current roster. Right now I'm in the process of meeting with every player on the team. The last 3 days we've been doing that. Meeting with the staff, evaluating the current staff. Also, getting ready to obviously hire some external candidates as well. So got a lot of work to do in a short period of time. I must look tired and awful because Michael Hazel the other night told me to go home. I must have looked pretty rough, but just not a lot of hours in the day and not enough manpower right now in the building for all the things that we need to do.
We got time for a couple more. Ron Castle and then Dave.
Coach, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. When you were introduced, you talked about development and that you still believe this is a development-driven sport. What will be important in developing this recruiting class?
Yeah, it's all the things that you've probably heard before, but obviously strength and conditioning is something I think we've done a really good job on. You look at our history of sending guys to the combine. Our guys have crushed the combine every single year. Our strength coaches get a ton of credit for that. Our guys are big, strong, fast, and explosive. And we're going to continue to build on that. It makes it easier. The better you recruit, it's amazing how that impacts how much bigger, stronger, faster, and explosive they can get in the weight room. Nutrition is an area, what do we call it here? The SPAC. SAPC, sorry. Our training table is a big part of that. That was finished a few years ago, really important. And I think we can even get better in that area. Our nutrition bar in the weight room, all those things, development, when it talks about fundamentals and technique from the coach's perspective, when it talks about teaching football and getting our guys to understand situational football and how those things are going to impact our success individually and collectively, all those things are critical. But development's every aspect. It's mentally. It's how they talk to themselves. What is the voice in their head? How are they talking to themselves? How do they perceive situations? How do they perceive themselves? We're trying to put our guys in position to be really successful in everything they do. And obviously we're using the game of football to teach a lot of those lessons. But we also want the fans to be excited. We want the fans to see where our program is going and what our program is doing. But it's all about development. I don't care if you're a 5-star or a 3-star, it's about development. So the day these guys step on campus, nobody cares about their star rankings anymore. It's about what you do on the football field. And this is a humbling sport. Trust me, I know. It's a humbling sport, and you better come to work every single day, and our job is to develop them. Okay, thank you.
All right, last one, Dave.
If you will indulge me a provincial question, since I work in the 757, what were your impressions, or are your impressions, of the 3 Green Run teammates that you have signed?
Yeah, so, a couple things that I would say on that. I mean, it's very obvious to me when I showed up here that Green Run has got a pipeline going right now with Virginia Tech on our current roster, and then also with the young men that are committed to us. So we're very appreciative of that and don't take that for granted. And Coach Williams obviously is a big part of that too. But I think whenever you can have a connection like that, I think Green Run's an example of probably how it used to be with a lot of schools when it came to Virginia Tech, and we got to get back to that, where the high school coaches want to send them here, the players want to come here, and we have evidence of success. We have evidence of players coming here and doing well. And again, that goes back to the relationships, right? If a high school coach sends you a guy and you do a great job with him, he's more likely to send more. No different than the Love family. They had a great experience, they're sending more. So that's what we want to try to do. We want to treat these guys fairly. We want to coach them hard and love them hard. And, and again, starting in the state of Virginia and the 757, we want to feel like we're the best option, not only in the state, but also in the country, where they can achieve all their hopes and dreams here.
Thank you, Coach.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you so much. Have a great day.